The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello, this is People's View, and today we have Corky Messner, the candidate for the U.S. Senate. Corky, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Carl. Thank you for having me on. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, and I'm glad you were able to make it today, and I hope your candidacy is going along well.
It is, Carl. The team has done a really, really nice job pivoting to a virtual campaign. And so we're continuing to build momentum. We had great momentum going before the stay-at-home order, and we've been able to continue that momentum through the stay-at-home order.
I know you are doing a lot of home visits and everything like that. And what are you depending on now to get your message out? Yeah.
Carl, before the stay-at-home order, I had done over 250 events since I announced in early September. Town hall meetings, town and committee meetings, group meetings, visiting businesses. So since the stay-at-home order, we've now done 12 telephone town hall meetings. And the interesting thing about the telephone town hall meetings is that the participation that we're seeing from Granite Staters is extremely high. Many, many more than we would ever get if we were doing it live. So we're getting outstanding participation. In fact, the high point for one, and we focus in different geographic areas of the state, the high point for one of our town halls was about 1,000 people that were on the line at the same time.
Wow.
So we're doing those. In addition, we are doing town and committee Zoom meetings as well. And I don't know how many of those we've done, but quite a few. We're doing Zoom meetings with various groups. I did one the other day with the New Hampshire Federated Republican Women. In addition to that, I do Facebook Lives, and we'll announce that I'm doing one and get people to watch on there. And then I do videos, which we call Messner Minutes. And then lastly, I spend a lot of time on the telephone every day, talking to activists, everybody. So I am very busy. Very, very busy with this.
Sounds like you're busy in a good way. You're much better than your Democratic opponent is getting out to talk to your constituents. What are you finding out from them? What are you hearing back from your constituents?
Well, at first, they didn't want to talk much about COVID-19. They were talking about the issues that we've been talking about all along, the opioid crisis, healthcare. But now most of the talk is around COVID-19 and opening up the economy and the economic issues related to that. So I get a lot of questions about that now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's going to be one important part for the state because we do have to get back and getting running like we have been in the past.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, and it's as I think about it, Carl, when this started, the stay-at-home order and the guidelines from the president, I think, were necessary to avoid the rush at hospitals, to avoid the situation where hospitals were overwhelmed and the so-called flattening the curve kind of a thing. And by the way, I think President Trump and Governor Sununu are doing a wonderful job through this crisis. But now it's feeling like we've flattened the curve, and it's time that we start very wisely and reasonably and carefully, and listening to the science, as they say, opening things up. And here's a point I want to make, Carl, that I think is very important, because we hear the Democrats say, you got to listen to the scientists. You got to listen to the scientists. I agree. You got to listen to the scientists, and there's an N on that. And the point is this. I've discovered when I was involved in some situations with businesses that were crisis management, and we needed scientists, that in these kind of situations, scientists have differing opinions. So it's really, really prudent that you have some peer review on the scientists. And the Democrats talk about it as there's one monolithic scientist, that they all agree on things, and it's just not the case. And we should listen to scientists, and we should have peer review on scientists, but it doesn't mean we obey scientists.
Mm-hmm. In other words, you have to really filter out the different opinions and judge for yourself how it fits in with the actual situation that you are experiencing.
That's it. And you sit down, you get different. And the scientists, you can sit down with them at the same time and say, okay, let's talk this through. And as a decision maker, and I suspect this, both President Trump and Governor Sununu are doing this, you listen and ask a lot of questions, and then you become informed where you can make the best informed decision.
Mm-hmm. I think that's true. I think your governors know the situation for this state much better than somebody from Washington.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And you run into the same thing on climate control, too. People don't understand the differences there, and there are many differences. It's not a final science yet on that. So,
right.
What do you think about the swamp down there in D.C. and how do you see yourself fixing some of the bog?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for the question. First thing I think about the swamp is it's a great hiding place for Jeanne Shaheen.
Yeah,
because she, as I say, she hides in the fog of Washington, D.C. And that's why I call her D.C. Jeanne Shaheen. And after I beat her, and I will beat her, and I will be the next U.S. Senator from New Hampshire, I think one of the advantages that I bring to becoming a senator and being a senator is, I've been very fortunate in life, and I've gone from a blue collar family to having a successful career as well as a successful military career. And unlike Jeanne Shaheen, I don't need to go to the U.S. Senate to create wealth, and like many other senators that go there to create wealth. So I have nothing to gain personally by this. I've done well. I don't need power. I built an incredible national law firm, and when you own a national law firm, that's a lot of power. So I am going to serve the people of New Hampshire, to fight for the people of New Hampshire, and to be guided by something that's guided me my whole life, Carl. And that's a verse out of the West Point Cadet Prayer. I think I'm a West Point graduate. And it basically says, Lord, make me choose the harder right instead of the easier wrong. And that's how I'm gonna approach the swamp in DC. And it may mean that I'm talking a lot, and it may mean I'm talking a lot on C-SPAN at night on the floor of the Senate with nobody there, but I'm going to be transparent about things, and and I work a lot. I work 18-hour days. I love working, so I'm going to be working that hard there. And the other thing I can promise Granite Staters is, I'm going to spend time in Washington, D.C. to get the job done, but I'm not going to spend time there to socialize, to go to cocktail parties and all that. That stuff's not important to me. In my business career, I've done all that in every major city in this country. I'm going to be back here in New Hampshire from the first year of my term through the last year of my term, doing this kind of stuff, Carl, getting out and doing town halls, getting out and visiting businesses. I want to listen to everybody as things are going on. I want to, explain to everybody what's going on. And that's an important part of the job. So for me, I'm going to be back here a lot, and I'm going to be very, very visible, very visible. I'm not going to win and disappear like many politicians.
Well, it sounds like you have a good organization now with setting up all those town hall meetings and other connections with your constituents. I think that's good. I know your campaign manager, Todd, very well. I think you got a good man there. And do you need anything else? You need help? Do you need people that to join your campaign a little bit and do some of the, dog work, if you want to call it that? Knocking on doors, passing out literature?
Carl, we need help. We'll take all volunteers, anybody who's willing to help, whether it's putting up signs, making phone calls, knocking on doors. There's a lot of stuff to do. We are very active. We are hustling. We're doing stuff. Anyone who wants to help, please reach out to the campaign. We're building a little army right now. We got a good group, and it's getting bigger. And we want to keep building it and growing it, because it's going to take a lot of hard work and hustle to beat Jean Shaheen.
Well, it's going to take a lot of money too. Apparently, she has quite a bankroll. It's impressive, but I hear that you don't need that. You can get your message out without all that.
Well, listen, I think we have a very effective campaign going on social media. And we do some advertising on social media, and all the metrics, Carl, that are out there is the most important metric to me. Is we're doing so well that everybody's attacking us. The left's attacking me. The right's attacking me. And guess what started happening the other day? The Chinese are attacking me.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. We did something on social media about cancel the debt with China. And then the Chinese bots started showing up and stalking us. So there's more people stalking me online than you can imagine. So, and we're doing great. And it's she has a lot of money. We're in good shape financially. We started this quarter with over $3 million, and we got to catch up to her. She has 7, and many of those phone calls I make are actually fundraising phone calls. So we're grinding and we're hustling and we're after it, and we're going to find a way to beat her. And my whole life I've had challenges, Carl. I grew up in a poor blue collar family, and everything I did, from going to West Point to graduating from West Point and throughout my career, I've taken on big challenges, and I like challenges, and I will prevail.
What is the best way for people to contact your organization?
CorkyForSenate.com. They can go there, and there's an email address on there they can send to. We check it all the time. Or they can go to our Facebook page, Corky Messner for Senate on Facebook, and send us a message through the Facebook page.
Okay, very good. Now, you're doing all these things that you have lined up. Is there any big event that you are going to have in the near future when we're able to have people come out to events again?
Well, Thursday, I think, no, what is today? Wednesday, Friday, I think it is. May 1st, Homeland Heroes. I don't know if you've heard of them. Great organization run by Julie Weymouth. She's a wonderful woman and doing a great job with that organization. They help veterans in need. She is doing an event at Patriot Nissan down in Salem, and they're bringing in a gas tanker, and veterans in need can go in and get a full tank of gas.
Wow.
And we helped her with some stuff and putting it, because they're also going to give the veterans a bag with gift cards and stuff, and we help Julie and Homeland Heroes get some Chipotle Mexican Grill gift cards for the bag. So we're going to have a sign down there, Carl. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it or not, but we're going to have a Corky for Senate sign down there. But other than that, we, all the plans for doing stuff outside are on hold.
Yeah, I realize that, but hopefully you'll get out to be able to see some people again, and whether they're start some of the fairs or having a golf match or, whatever out there. People need a little bit of recreation out there to match being careful with not getting into contagious areas. But
yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, and it's very important. I look forward to it. I mean, as I mentioned, we had done over 250 events, and it really energized me to get out and meet people, and that positive feedback was a really good thing, and that's really helped us with the momentum.
When you get to the Senate, where are you looking to go as far as committees are concerned, or where you see the biggest problems that you'd like to resolve?
Yeah, Carl, I think the biggest problem we now have to deal with is the debt and deficits. I think that, before this crisis, the debt was $22 to $23 trillion.
Right.
And as a result of out of control spending in Washington, D.C. And we know that since D.C. Jeanne Shaheen's been in the Senate, that debt has more than doubled. Mm-hmm. And what we've learned from this crisis is that irresponsible spending in Washington, D.C. has put us in a position in this crisis that makes it more difficult, to spend our way out of this. And we have no rainy day fund. So, when this settles out, I mean, we're going to have an operating deficit of maybe $3.5 trillion a year. And then we're spending over $2 trillion, which the CARES Act we needed to do. Hospitals need money. States need money. Small businesses need money. We needed to do this. But I think it's going to magnify the consequences of the irresponsible historic spending in Washington, D.C. We have to get spending under control in Washington.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I was glad to see that at least some of the plans were loans rather than grants and stuff like that, where it gets people over the hump that they're having by having no sales on something, because everybody's sitting in the home unless you're getting alcohol or some other thing that.
Right.
But it is hard. Managing that budget is something you have to pay attention to. And the one biggest way, and I agree kind of with Trump and with Sununu, is getting our industry back to active level. That is where the best income increase can appear fairly quickly if everything runs right. And I think one of the things is having better organization.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. I was finished. I just wanted to say that you need organization to grow that and to increase the income from industry.
Yeah, I agree, Carl. I agree, and I think we're going to have to rethink, the whole thing with outsourcing our manufacturing as a result of this crisis. And I think another profound consequence of this crisis is, I think people, especially people in New Hampshire, are not going to be willing to accept politics as usual. And we're seeing politics as usual. And let me tell you what I'm talking about. Here's a great example. It's this whole thing with these small business loans under the CARES Act.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that the Democrats and Jeanne Shaheen delayed that, to negotiate more goodies in that package.
Right.
We lost a total of maybe 10 or 12 days. And we lost businesses because of that delay. We lost businesses here in the Granite State because of that delay. We lost jobs because of that delay. And some of those businesses will never come back because those loans were delayed by politics as usual in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to expose that kind of stuff and make sure people are aware of it, because Jeanne Shaheen, she was tweeting about it yesterday that, New Hampshire businesses got $70 million of the PPP loans, and that's a good thing. They got it. But, the delay caused some businesses to go under. And just like, here's another example where politics are, people are not going to accept that Jeanne Shaheen comes to New Hampshire and says, I got New Hampshire $1.25 billion in the CARES Act.
Mm-hmm.
I was a lead negotiator. I got New Hampshire $1.25 billion, and everyone's like, wow, that's, $1.25 billion is a lot of money. There's no question. But guess what, Carl? That was the minimum amount any state got. So she got us the minimum. So she didn't even have to be there to get that. But she brags about it. And I wrote a piece that's on Facebook about it, that, I believe that New Hampshire should have received more than the minimum. And here's why. And New Hampshire borders on Massachusetts. 80% of New Hampshire population is near the Massachusetts border. 93% of the COVID cases in New Hampshire are in those areas near the Massachusetts border. Massachusetts is a hotspot for COVID-19. It's got the third most cases in the country. And she should have been able to go in and persuasively argue that New Hampshire should have got more than the minimum because of those reasons. But she's celebrating, I got the minimum. No, she doesn't say it's the minimum. But so that kind of stuff, it's going to get exposed, and she's not going to be able to get away with that. And politics are going to change, because that stuff's nonsense.
I think there's a lot of things in the history that you can bring up that would embarrass her too.
Well, let us know if you got good ideas. We have a lot of information, but we're always open to hear more.
One of the things I don't know if you've heard of Hillsdale College in Michigan. It's a college.
I am aware of it.
Okay. They came out with a little bulletin about how some of the agencies that were supposed to be prepared for something like this were unprepared because they've spread out and taken on other jobs that aren't really in the original cause of them being set up. So there are problems, I think, within the whole administration that has to be straightened out. And I know that's important. And I know Trump wants to clear out some of the swamp, but I think that's a big problem. If we run our business more efficiently, more effectively, you'll find you'll have a lower output a lower cost.
And a better output.
That's right. That's right.
And in President Trump's budget, he actually talks about this. He talks about how there's these redundant government agencies getting money to do the same thing, and they don't even know they're doing the same thing. It's so there's this overlap, redundancy, money spent, and it's wasteful.
And there's a lot of difficulty in moving people around. I mean, he has a lot of people left over from the prior administration that just don't agree with the way he wants to run it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
About running it, we've run out of time. So thank you very much, Corky. We've really gone through this good wishes for your future. And I hope.
Thank you. And I'm glad to come back anytime you like.
Okay, we're going to do it right after the primary. All right.
Sounds good. Awesome.
Thanks again.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.